Next up, I have a picture of bread. I don't remember what the entry is for this.
You just saw a loaf of bread and you're like, dude, I have no fucking clue what this is supposed to be. I would call it bread. Would you also happen to call that bread?
That's bread, yeah. 13 things that have different names throughout the U.S. Obviously, I am from the Midwest.
Yes.
Born and bred in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Mel, Appalachia, West Virginia boy.
Amen, brother.
So we're going to take a look at a couple things that have different names depending on where you live in this great country and see where we stand on them. Now, I'll list these things and you tell me what you would call these. And then
Okay.
I'll let you know what we might call them in the Midwest. So
Right.
shoes, running shoes,
Growing up, I called them tennis shoes.
right?
I call them sneakers now, but tennis shoes, that was the prevalent sort of like nomenclature my entire childhood. Like, oh, I'm going to go put on my tennis shoes. Oh, I need a new pair of tennis shoes. So that's what we call them.
Yeah, and that's oddly specific. Like as
It is,
if I wear
'cause
these
that's
only
like-
to play tennis.
Yeah, that's just like one sport. And I'm not, I'm just wearing them to school.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would probably call these sneakers, and there's going to be a lot of these where I've heard both, or most people do say this, but I actually say this because it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you were hard, like these are sneakers.
No, I'm not. I don't really, I suppose, have a super strong allegiance to a lot of to a lot of labels. People are like, "Oh, dude, that's not a fucking sneaker, man. That's a footsie wootsy foot cover." And I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna get up in arms about this. You seem really, I don't know. People get really intense about labels of things. I can't believe Americans call their rubbers rain boots, and it's like. Well, we already call condoms rubbers. It made the most sense, man. Like boots, rain, whatever.
But you may change your tune when we get to some of these later entries.
I might, I might find something that I'm just extremely passionate about defending, and we can get into a whole argument about it.
So we've both heard or called these like tennis shoes sneakers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Other people might call them running shoes, gym shoes, even. Like if I had shoes that I wore to the gym, those would be my gym shoes. But my tennis shoes would not necessarily be just for playing tennis. That's fucked
my
up.
gym shoes. Yeah, no, right? My gym shoes are a pair of Vans Ultra Ranges that I had multiple uses for, but then one time got paint on. And so I was like, well, those are now the delegated working gym shoe.
Next up, we've got that circular things that you drive your car around in.
I mean, I call it a roundabout, but I don't even know if that's what a roundabout is. That's what I just heard the word before. Then one day I encountered one of those and was like, yeah, I bet that's what that is.
That is a roundabout. Yeah, I think that's what we call it too.
Cool. Awesome. Is there another word for it?
Traffic circle. Or, wait, I have these listed. Maybe I don't have this one listed. Rotary.
A rotary.
A rotary. There it is.
How, that traffic circle is so clinical. It's so sterile. That's just, I mean, yeah. It's like, well, that's the place where the traffic
goes in circle.
Momentarily goes in a circle. We'll call it a traffic
circle.
They're
not wrong. Roundabout is kind of makes it sound like, that's like when you get lost or whatever. You have to go like a roundabout way to get there.
Yeah, that could mean anything.
Like that makes it seem inefficient.
It's straight to the point.
Yeah. But a rotary, I ain't never heard that shit. That must be a southern thing.
I mean, I've heard of that does sound like a southern thing, doesn't it? That does sound like somebody from like Louisiana or Georgia would be like, "Oh yeah, that's the rotary."
Well, speaking of Louisiana, we got these red little lobster-looking fish, the mini lobsters,
like the small ones. Yeah, the mini lobsters.
What would you call a mini lobster?
I call them crawdads.
Okay, I think.
I've also heard crayfish. So I've heard crawdad. I've heard crawfish, but then I've also heard crayfish.
I think growing up and catching these, I would probably call them crawdads, maybe crawfish, but never crayfish.
I think I might just be a complete fucking liar and just making that up on the spot. But I swear, I feel like I've heard crayfish.
Well, no, it's
before.
in the list here.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
definitely
Okay,
like
cool.
a go-to name.
Was immediately vindicated.
That's like
I never called them
first word for them. So they got 3 names, very special. What about a public drinking apparatus?
Okay, yeah, that's what I call it actually. Since a young child, I'll be like, "Excuse me, teacher, may I use the public drinking apparatus out in the out in the educational corridor?" She said, "Go on right ahead." No, it's a water fountain.
Water fountain. How about a bubbler?
What?
How about a bubbler, Mel?
No, I've never heard it called. That sounds like an Australian. Or no, that Australians put like the soft Y sound on the end of everything, I think.
Now, I don't do this, but yeah, here in the Midwest, this is a bubbler.
Wow, I actually you know what? I like to think that I'm a well-educated man. Did not know that. I had no idea that it was called a bubbler. That's crazy.
I've never come to call it that. How do you feel about drinking fountain?
That's better than bubble. It doesn't even bubble. It's a stream of water.
Yeah, here's a weird thing though. Like a water fountain to me, that would be like a decorative water fountain. But like a drinking fountain, that makes sense for this. A drinking apparatus is a drinking fountain. But
to be fair, it does shoot up water in that sort of arch shape that, like, when I imagine water going in that arch shape, I mean, that's very fountain-y to me.
That's true. It is still a fountain of sorts, but most people associate that with decorative, the word fountain.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a drinking fountain is a bit more specific. You know, you can get more context from the name.
Got to make that distinction. You don't want to get people confused.
Yeah. Listen, as long as you're not saying bubbler, because bubbler, that can mean anything. I mean, somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go use the bubbler real quick."
I don't know why it's a bubbler. I mean, dude, I don't know. Is there bubbles involved here? Not that
why
I'm aware
are you
of.
using it? Like, I don't know.
It makes it seem like you turn it on and bubbles come out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I would expect.
It's misleading.
From a bubbler, I would expect it to bubble.
So we've got another water apparatus, but this one would be in your kitchen.
See, here's the thing. And here's what's going to happen. It's, to me, that's a faucet, right?
It's a faucet, yeah.
No, I just can't think of anything else that would even be called.
How about maybe a spout?
Oh,
or
fuck. Well,
even
a
spigot.
See, when I hear spigot, I think like an outside.
Yeah, that's
like
what I think too.
That comes out of. Yeah, like you hook the hose up to the spigot. I don't.
Maybe that's how it was, and people just carried that on.
There is the itsy bitsy spider, and the term in that nursery rhyme used is, what does the itsy bitsy spider climb up? The water spout, not the water faucet. But once again, a spout, I think, outside. Faucet to me is a very inside thing. There's no outdoor faucets. But hey, what do I know? I mean, I could just be ignorant.
I've definitely heard
to the
spigot before, though, which is it's a foreign word to me.
I don't know. Whenever I hear spigot, I think like that is an outside.
That's something you have to
device.
pump manually.
Yeah, or even just coming out of the side of the house.
All right, next up we have those bugs that are kind of like armadillos that roll up in a ball.
This is kind of another one where it's just like I called it something when I was younger, and I changed it so when I was younger, roly-poly. It's a roly-poly.
Right.
Which is a word that persists, through the region. But I call them pill bugs, but I don't even know if a roly-poly and a pill bug are the same thing.
That they are.
I would be a liar if I said that roly-poly was not the word that I used as a growing up.
Some people never grew out of the roly-poly, and they're just always roly-polies.
Listen, I think roly-poly is a lot more fun than pill bug. I think somewhere along the way, I desired to be taken seriously as a child, because a lot of adults told me I had an old soul, but really my parents just got divorced. So I reacted and behaved accordingly to that situation. And so somewhere along the way as a child, I desperately wanted to be perceived as older. Like, for example, the lower abdomen region around the gut, when that area started to hurt, what is that called? It's called a stomach ache, right? But what does a kid say? Kids say, "Oh, I got a tummy ache, mom, and my tummy hurts. I got a tummy ache." As a child, I was like, tummy is a very juvenile sounding word. And so whenever I had a tummy ache, I'd be like, "Mother, I've got a stomach ache." Because to me, stomach was like a more mature sounding word. And I think it was kind of the same thing with like roly-poly, where roly-poly, I was like, well, that's a child's phrase. I'll call them pill bugs. And I lost the whimsy of maybe a more flowery vernacular.
Wow.
And I regret it. I regret it, because now I'm stuck in it. Now I say stupid shit like stomach ache and pill bug.
I never expected this intro to get so deep.
Yeah, no, it's really bringing something out of me.
Well, let's keep it related to bugs here.
All right.
Now, these are those bugs that light up in the nighttime.
Yeah, it's a lightning bug.
A lightning bug. This is a firefly.
See, what's funny is I actually don't know which one is more sort of more in line with the Appalachian vernacular. Like I always called them lightning bugs, but I don't know if that's what everyone else here calls them.
I was under the impression that was a southern thing.
To be fair, both of them are just like, descriptor bug. Lightning, bug, fire, fly. So
bug that light up.
Yeah, they're both very like straight to the point. I don't think there's one that is necessarily better. You can argue firefly might sound better. It's a bit alliterative, but
I like to call them glow fleas.
That's just like not true. That's just no way. That's what you guys call them up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I just made that one up. So
bunch of heathens up there.
That's
with
true.
Your glow fleas.
Now, what would you call them spiders with the long legs?
Dude, that is a daddy long legs. Once again, what the fuck else would you call it?
A granddaddy.
Just that? Not a granddaddy long legs, just a granddaddy?
Just a granddaddy.
What the fuck?
I mean, that's not what we call it, but that is a name.
That's a daddy long legs.
That is a daddy long legs. That is for sure, which is kind of a funny name that's really stuck.
No, it is an odd name.
Why is this spider my father?
But at least, we're not calling it a father long legs, Carl. We're calling it a daddy long legs. It's got long legs. That's it.
Right.
But, I mean, granddaddy, that doesn't do anything.
Yes. Next up, we've got sandwich. Like that you might get at Subway.
Like that specific one that I'm looking at right now?
Yeah, that style of sandwich. What might you call that?
Like a pulled pork, like a barbecue?
Well, not necessarily what's on it, but some people might call it like a sub. Some people might call it a hoagie or a hero or a submarine even.
A hero is like a Greek rap kind of thing. That's like a
that's a gyro.
Oh fuck!
A
Whatever.
hero, like HERO, hero. That's the name for a sandwich like this.
Okay, yeah, that's. I guess that's true. I mean, I guess I just call it a sub.
Yeah,
but once again, I don't know if sort of like the Appalachian vernacular like necessitates the use of any alternative word. I just know that I call it a sub. Like when I hear alternative words for like a sub, like I think of specific sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think hero, I think of, like a Greek gyro. When I think like hoagie, I think of something with like a shredded beef kind of thing.
Well, these words, they kind of just cover the whole category eventually.
Yeah. It's just when I hear those umbrella terms, my brain automatically goes to a specific sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a sub. Next up, I have a picture of bread. Someone cutting bread, and I don't remember what the entry is for this.
You just saw a loaf of bread, and you're like, I have no fucking clue what this is supposed to be.
Wait, where? It's bread. Somebody's cutting like a fucking baguette.
Yeah, what's the etymology here?
I have no clue. I don't remember what this was supposed to be. Let's move on. I didn't put the names on here. I just put pictures.
What would you call that? Because I would call it bread. Would you also happen to call that bread?
That's bread, yeah.
Then what else could it be? Case closed. We solved it.
I did not do my due diligence here. Okay, next up we got that metal thingamabob that you might push around at the grocery store.
Yeah, I'm actually a dissident on this one, right?
Okay.
So in Appalachia, everyone calls it a buggy.
Buggy,
right?
okay.
It's a buggy.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, I hated that phrase, and I preferred the straightforward, proper professional, shopping cart.
Yes.
This is a cart. It was. Yeah, it's a shopping cart.
Mm.
But everyone here calls it a buggy.
A buggy. So,
even like around here, even the people who are sort of less ingrained in that culture still call it a buggy. Yeah. Everyone just calls it a buggy. And I hated it growing up.
Well, I've only ever known this as a shopping cart. But to my 4-year-old, this is a trolley.
A trolley?
Because somebody watches too much Peppa Pig and maybe even Bluey. Those foreign shows are infecting her mind. And this is a trolley.
Dude, that's the thing is you have Bluey is actually an Australian psyop meant to indoctrinate your children.
Make them more tolerant Australian people.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a travesty that this is happening right under our noses. Trolley is crazy though. When I think trolley, I think of a train. I think of like a city ingrained train.
A trolley, that would be something that's like on like a streetcar on the tracks.
Yeah, right. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're going to have to correct that behavior before it's just too far gone.
So this whole Australian propaganda, is that like the first step of like a mass migration? Like when the climate gets so bad that all the Australians have to move to America? Is that their plan?
And so we're going to, we are going to rise up to defend ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
but the children of our nation, the nation's youth. So you know how in 1984, have you ever read that book?
Of course. I'm a
You know how in
intellectual.
1984, you know how in 1984 the kids are turning in their parents? It'll be like that. It'll be like our kids will hand us over. They'll rat us out to the Aussies.
Yeah, I mean, Bluey is made to appeal to both adults and children, so they're trying to reach a wide audience here. But failing adult takeover, yes, they will come for our children first.
Yeah, they're accomplishing Peppa Pig just entirely driven for children. But the creators of Bluey, they said, no, we've got to expand our reach.
Mm-hmm.
We'll primarily go for kids. But there's also a very large adult audience that also enjoys the show, who we will also indoctrinate to support us when the inevitable takeover comes.
And that's only due to the subliminal messages hidden inside.
Yeah.
That only the adults can perceive.
Yeah, did you know that if you play Bluey backwards, in reverse, the audio says, Hail Satan.
Crazy.
And also it says, Hail Satan, call Rain Boots Rubbers. It's crazy. What's up with that, man?
Speaking of watching TV, what do you call that thing that you point at your TV to change the channels?
Dude, you're hitting me with a bunch of curveballs here. So that's a remote control.
Remote, yeah.
What else would it be called?
How about a clicker?
No, fucking, you're lying. You're messing with me, right? I'm getting punked right now. Ashton Kutcher's about to come out and tell me I've been punked.
I mean,
right?
To me, this has always been a remote, but yeah, I've heard people say clicker, especially older people in the area. It's a clicker. Maybe original TV remotes were more tactile and clicked. Maybe it's the TV that clicked when you push the buttons. I don't know, but to some people, this is a clicker.
That's nuts. And you know what? I'll digress on this one.
How about those people that call a video game controller a remote? Like, Mom, it's not a remote, it's a controller.
Mom, I can't pause my online game. I told you this.
Mom, it's not a Nintendo.
You fucking moron. I'm playing an Xbox 360, not a Nintendo. There's never been a console called the Nintendo, Mom.
Okay, how about that thing that 2 or more people can sit on in your living room?
2 or more?
It's the name of our show.
I know you're referring to couch,
Uh-huh.
but that in that picture is a love seat.
Sure. Picture aside. Sure.
Okay, couch.
You call this a love seat? Yeah, okay, fine. Because love seat's like for 2 people. Are we on the same page with that?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a couch.
Right, a couch. But of course, people may want to call it a sofa or even a Davenport.
Oh, well, yeah. What? Okay. Like Ohio? Wait, no.
Maybe that's where the Davenports came from, yeah.
I'm going to sound really stupid if Davenport is in a state that's not Ohio. Is it Iowa? It's Iowa. Davenport, I think my dad lived there. He's going to be so upset when he sees this and realizes that I thought for a brief moment that Davenport was in Ohio. Ohio, Iowa, they sound similar.
It's true.
Listen, I call it a couch. Sofa, totally acceptable. I would actually argue that sofa might be a better word. I think sofa sounds nice. It's a real soft, kind of delicate word. Very warm. Couch is like, I feel like I'm yelling at you. I'll get on the couch.
Because it kind of sounds like a German word.
Yeah, it's harsh, very harsh. Davenport, which I know is in Iowa. I don't know if I've ever heard a couch called that.
That's got to be like a brand name that just became a name for couch.
Yeah, kind of like how any adhesive bandage is called a Band-Aid.
Right. Like
Band-Aid, that's the brand name.
Uh-huh.
That's just one of many adhesive bandages. Or like, isn't Q-tip also like a brand? It's cotton swab.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean a Q-tip. I mean a Band-Aid.
There's a lot that are like that.
Crazy.
Maybe we'll do an episode on that.
Those companies really fucking lucked out. Imagine your brand being so known for what it does that the name of your product, like the specific name of your product, takes over any product of that nature.
Like a jacuzzi or a Kleenex.
Yeah, exactly. The tissue's just a Kleenex for so many people. Mm-hmm. Or a Band-Aid. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what fucking brand it is, it's like, that's a Band-Aid.
So, I mean, someday every podcast is going to be called A Long Couch. Did you listen to that new Long Couch about World War II?
Yeah, dude, I caught a great alpha male long couch. But don't run away.
Subscribe for more videos and shorts from The Long Couch. Follow the link in the description below to stream full episodes on Spotify and keep up with Carl and Mel on Instagram and Twitter.